Okay, so on to lick number 2 of the pop solo, and this actually starts with the same phrase as the first part. So we start again with that. Okay, but what we do now, we're going to keep that octave shape going, okay, and we have these nice little chromatic things going on. So I'm going to play it through it for you now at about 80 beats per minute, and then you can hear how it sounds. So we go. Okay, one more time actually, so. Okay, so as you can see, we're still making very, very good use of those octave shapes, but what we're doing this time, we're also bringing those shapes down across the other strings. So we actually have to change from using our 1st and 4th finger. When we get to the A string, we have to use our 1st and 3rd finger. So it starts up again, just on that tonic note, which is the D. Okay, but what we do here after that, so we come in with that same lick from the very first lick, so we got that nice little syncopated thing, but then we have this little chromatic run, and by chromatic I mean you move up 1 fret at a time towards our target note, which, as I mentioned, is the tonic, is D. Okay, so we go like this. Okay, so that was just moving from the 5th fret on my 1st finger, that is, of the G, up to the 6th, up to the 7th fret, but obviously we're retaining that octave shape, so we go like that. And as you can see, picking direction, I would do down, up, down. Okay, so we go. That's a nice little chromatic approach to the root note. And then what we do is we move that exact same phrase just down 1 string. Okay, so then we go. Okay, and what that's doing, that's a chromatic approach to the 5th. Okay, which is an A. Okay, in this context, the 5th of D is going to be A. So what we're doing there is chromatically approaching that 5th, like that. And then exactly the same thing, just the next string down. But as I mentioned, we now have to shift to using our 3rd finger because the octave shape changes. So what we do there, again from the 5th fret moving up to the 7th, we go. Okay, and what that's doing, that's landing again on that, that's the 9th there. Okay, so we get a nice kind of minor 9-y kind of sound going on there, like that. Okay, and then finally we do that exact same pattern again, just starting on that same string, but we're down at the 3rd fret. Okay, so we go. Okay, and what that's doing is again moving chromatically again towards the root. We're just now the octave down from when we were up here. So once again, the full phrase. And then what happens, there's a little skip at the end of it. Okay, so if I now talk about where it falls on the beat, D, 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, so 1 E and 2. 3. Okay, so we're coming on the 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and a 4 E, 1 da da. Okay, so you see it's very, very much on the offbeat again. But what happens is when we hit our target note, we actually land right on the beat there, and that's what we're going for. So we're going dun 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 dun. And then a little flourish at the end there with that final little skip. As you can hear again, much like the first lick, it needs to be very, very staccato at the end. You know, just really cut it off. So you don't want to be going. It's very much. The trickiest part of this is actually the speed at which it's played. Okay, so Benson blazes through these octave shapes like they're nothing. Literally, he's absolutely amazing. The best way to do it is to literally, try and keep your thumb planted. Okay, that's the thing that I like to do. So I like to keep my thumb very much in the same place and move it up. As you can see, my thumb isn't kind of gliding up the back of the neck. It's sort of staying in that same place, like that. Same there. Okay, so if you start moving around too much, you're going to sort of get lost where you are. And you might end up hitting a wrong note or something, and God forbid that happens. So as I was mentioning, you want to keep your thumb roughly kind of in the same place, and you're moving downwards like this. And the best thing, I can't stress the importance in playing this stuff really, really slowly at first. I know I keep talking about that, but specifically for this sort of style, it's absolutely integral to get that groove correct first and make sure you're really, really locking in with those drums and that bass and the synths and everything. And then it all kind of falls into place as you increase the speed. So your first task of your George Benson voyage is to get licks number 1 and 2 down really, really nicely, at a comfortable tempo for you, and then you can gradually increase. And I'll see you in the next video.